Adam left the office feeling giddy. He walked towards the hangar as he read the contract for what must have been the 100th time. He had done it. He had bought a whole solar system, costing him 25 million credits, but now he officially owned GKB 1.658. It had a yellow sun, 3 planets, and 2 gas planets with 2 asteroid fields. The planets were just barren rocks. Only one was within the habitable zone, and the atmosphere was weak. It was the size of Earth, with 2 moons and a ring formation. The moons were half the size of Earth's moon and locked in an eternal dance with each other. It was a beautiful sight to behold, but he did worry if they would collide at one point. But it was 20 light-years from the nearest populated system, almost like buying a farm in the middle of nowhere. The nearest hyperplane was 6 light-years away, and it currently had no stops there. Adam grinned. Currently was the key word. He had spent half his winnings on the planet. He remembered how shocked he had been when he won the Earth's golden ticket. He had spent 5 credits and won 50 million credits. He hadn't told anybody. There was nobody to tell, to be honest. Being raised in an orphanage with very few friends. Those he had as a kid had left Earth a long time ago. With his winnings, he knew he could spend money, live a good life, buy a house, and enjoy life. But he wanted something more. He wanted to be something more. He had spent 1 million on an old space hauler and learned how to fly it. He had bought 5 droids for protection, 10 worker droids, and 2 factory version 3D printing robots, leaving him with 22 million credits. He had a plan, and it was going to work. He had read about it when he was young, about people who made desserts bloom. He always wanted to do that, but now he could do it on a grander scale. Not just grand. Planetary scale. He had the idea when he saw the article about that family that dumped organic waste in the desert and let nature do its thing. It was a way to fight desertification. He wanted to do that to a whole planet. He just needed to find a planet with a desert planet atmosphere, like the one they always show in the movies. That had turned out to be more difficult than he thought. Most desert planets have no atmosphere or are too cold or hot. He finally found one on the other side of the galaxy, far from everybody. It would have been colonized long ago if it had been closer to the hyperplane. He reached the hangar and looked for the job board. Yep, there it was, the most annoying and boring job in the universe, trash disposal. People thought space stations just recycled everything, but that was not true. With a constant influx of goods, there was no need to recycle, dump it in a crate, ship it near the sun, and waste problem solved. The problem was getting the waste from the station within the sun's gravity pull, and that's where he came in. He took the job and the next and the next. He filled his hauler up with all the trash he could. It was now his trash. He could keep it or dump it, just not in open space. Ships didn't like getting hit by a meteorite made out of other people's waste. He had earned a few credits, too. It took him 1 week to reach his system. When he entered, it came up as owned by Adam Wrangler. He loved it and stared at the screen as the ship flew to the second planet, the most Earth-like one. He looked at it. It was just a desert with 2 large white poles. He ran the scans, and there were traces of nitrogen and carbon. The atmosphere was very weak, with almost no ozone layer. He flew down to the equator, where a vast valley was, and dumped everything there. He looked over the scans and found a place to land. It was a plateau high enough not to end up underwater, even if both poles melted, but still not too high. He got into the suit and went to the secondary cargo hold where his droids and 3D printers were placed and unloaded. He went over the geographic scans and the programs. There was a base blueprint he had bought. It had cost him 2,500 credits, a research base that looked like a 40-meter tall cylinder with a 50-meter diameter and a small observation tower at the top. He had played with the design and added 3 football field-sized domes and a landing hangar. Those had only cost him 500 credits each. It would take the droids months to finish it, but they would work constantly until it was finished. He might have to buy a few more. 10 more would speed it up. He left 4 of the bodyguard droids to protect it, and then he flew off. He set the course for the Galactic Hub, or Hub as it was called, the biggest commercial space station in the sector. When he docked, He headed straight to the job board to find the waste disposal jobs. He leaves a few for us. That's easy money. Just 30 minutes for a few hundred credits. He turned towards the voice. The man was slightly taller and looked like a shaved dog with a pink mohawk. He was wearing what appeared to be blue jeans and a red t-shirt. He had a bandolier that ended in a pistol. He thought the species was Tufons. "How many do you want me to leave? I want the organics anyway," Adam replied as he stepped away from the screen. He had managed to get 20 jobs and his hauler would soon be full. Only organics? Why? The alien reviewed the jobs and took 4 mostly metal products. "Science project, what about you? You seem to go for the metal." Adam watched the alien curious. He had only met a few, though he had seen many. "You don't know? You melt it down and resell it. It takes a lot of energy, though, so most stations don't bother with it. And the crime lords don't care about the small changes. So what kind of science project?" The dogman looked at him now, tilting his head slightly. "Well, just checking if it can turn into manure. Trying to make a farm." It was a little lie, but he didn't feel like revealing his real plan. "Well, then you should go to the farms and restaurants. It takes longer, but you will get organics and no metals then. Name's Rocks." The alien offered a clawed hand to shake, and he took it. It was a firm grip. "Adam Wrangler, nice to meet you. I was hoping to get in and out. How much more time are we talking about?" "Well, if it's just for one time, then we are talking a few days. But if it's a regular job, then you can set it up, hire somebody to bring it down here to the waste storage, and then you don't even have to check the job board. It will truly be in and out." Adam looked at Rocks as he thought about it. He had to do some calculations, but yeah, it might actually work. He needed a lot of waste. He was, after all, planning to cover the whole planet in it, and he didn't have time to work on the atmosphere either. "I have to think about it. Right now, I have to fill this one up and head out. Nice meeting you, Rocks." He added a few more jobs to fill up the ship and headed out. He had enough money to hire a few. He needed one more ship and at least one more pilot. He stopped and looked at Rocks. "Do you work for somebody?" "No, self-employed. Why? Are you hiring?" He had stopped as he asked him, halfway out the door. "Maybe my project needs a lot of organic waste, so I might need to hire a pilot with a ship to do the job. But it's a week's travel between here and the dumping place each way." "You better just buy a slave for that. No cargo hauler would do that for trash. A slave working for freedom will. Of course, they might steal the hauler and escape. But that's the risk you run with even a licensed pilot. Maybe a clone droid? Yeah, that could work." "A clone droid? What the hell is that?" Adam asked, confused. He hadn't heard about those. Rocks shrugged as he replied, "Ethical clones, they call them. Clones with a cybernetic brain. Basically, they will pass as alive, and they can access the common areas. It's an android brain inside a cloned body, so you won't have any ethical problems about using them for labor, unlike slaves. Some people like me don't agree with that practice." "Are you serious? They clone somebody and remove their brains to put in an android brain? That's like killing somebody to make a flesh android." Adam was disgusted by the thought. Rocks looked at him for a while. "You're human, right? They said your people were different. But yeah, you're right. Hell, if you want to do the right thing, you buy a slave, set up a contract for servitude to freedom, and set aside some money for when they get freed. Then you roll the dice of fate and hope you bought an honest one. That's my goal, though. The damn law forbids you from freeing a slave you just bought." Rocks seemed a little frustrated as he said the last words. "Wait, you're trying to buy somebody to free them? Who?" Adam was curious now. This was an aspect of galactic culture he had not learned at school, the little he had. "My sister and her husband were on the wrong side of my world civil war and were sold off as slaves. I have them on hold for 3 weeks. 30 grand for her and 55 for him. He is a biologist, and she is a nurse." "Biologist? How much are you missing?" "I got 23,500 saved up now. I might get 1,000 more with these jobs, and the sale might give me another. I fear I can only get her out. She is going to hate me. Luckily, he is so specialized that I might have another week before he is snatched up. I'll buy them. I could use a biologist and she can work as his aide for what? A year? You sure? I mean, I don't even know you. And it has to be a minimum of 5 standard years. Yeah, but with one condition. You work for me too, paid of course for 6 months. Yeah, that should do it. You seem to know your way around the business of hauling, and I need the help. What do you say? I say, I want to see the contract and credit check first. Adam smirked as he pressed his tab, and his spending credit was shown. He only had 2.1 million credits on it, and Rox whistled as he saw it. Why are you hauling? You're rich enough to retire with that. I have a bigger dream. Come, let's find a lawyer and set up a contract. He started walking, and Rox followed him. You know a lawyer will cost credits, right? Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. We just met, and this will be for my security as well as yours. If you screw me over, I can sue you. And if I screw you over, you can sue me. And it will protect us from outside interference as well. Companies get more protection. It took them 5 hours, but Adam was the CEO and owner of Wrangler Company, HQ, at the newly named Dirt System. Rox was his employee for 1 year and paid 50% of the income from each haul. They also set up a standard contract for slaves, 5 years of work for freedom, and a $50,000 reward when they'd served their time. An hour later, they all sat in a cafeteria. Rox, his sister Hara, and her husband Vorts just looked at him while Adam was trying out the food. Are you sure this is edible? He looked at the plate. It looked like a T-bone steak, but the color was not correct. The meat was green, the bone was purple, and the potatoes were green. Yes, it's quite safe. The scan you did when you arrived at the restaurant showed everything that would be poisonous on your menu, he replied, but he seemed still in shock. Adam looked up. What? Is it so strange to see a human eating? No, it's that you just gave us a chance of freedom. And that contract you had us sign with a lawyer as a witness. I mean, what do you want from us? Vorts replied to him as he held his wife's hand. Look, I guess I have to explain it. I bought a solar system, and it has one planet with an atmosphere, a weak one, so I need it thicker so it can become breathable. It's within the habitable zone, but not enough gases to make it breathable or give it a stable atmosphere. Fortunately, both poles have a large ice cap, mainly water. Now, it's so far away from another system that I got it cheap. So we are going to terraform it unusually. I can't afford the big terraform machines, so the plan is to collect as much bio-waste as possible, spread it out, and melt the caps to release water vapor. He spoke as he ate. The food was surprisingly good, and he sipped the water. Single-handedly terraform? You must be crazy. But for the sake of argument, does the planet have a strong enough gravity pull to keep the atmosphere? Vorts was a little more interested now. Yes, it is about the same size as my home world. That's why I picked it. Look, it has potential. The system might have metal I can sell. The goal is first to terraform the planet and then make a profit from it. He leaned back and looked at them. Look, I can't do it alone. Few humans are this far out from Earth. Earth is on the other side of the galaxy. If not for the hyperplane, then I would never have been able to travel here. It takes a whole year in hyperspace to get here from Earth. Are you running away from your kind? Hera seemed a little worried, and Adam laughed. No, I'm not running away. It's a human thing. I wanted to go somewhere far away and start over. I have no family, so I had nothing to hold me back. Right now, you're all I have. They all looked at each other and back at him. You're adopting us? Rox looked confused, and Adam tapped his implant. It must have translated it wrong. Adopt? Make us part of your family? Become our clan leader? Rox tilts his head slightly, and Adam chuckles. Wow, let's take it easy. Let's first find out if you guys even like me. I don't know how it works out here. Right now, we work together, right? Adam looked at them, hoping he didn't disappoint or offend them. They looked at each other with a strange look, so he continued. Look, I'm human. I don't mean to offend or cause trouble. I might have said something offensive. If I did, please accept my apologies. No need to apologize. You own us. We cannot hope for such honor anyway. We will work hard and may be worthy one day. Vorts bowed his head, and Adam smiled. Hey, just cut that master-owning stuff. You're employees with a 5-year contract. Now we need to buy a shelter for you guys as you will be working planetside. And some clothes as well. Okay, time to go shopping.